we've got Chris Buckland.
Yeah, good, Neil. Hello, big sleep outs. Can you all hear me all right? All right, I'm here to introduce the next wonderful performer on this stage. So I would encourage anyone who can't hear me to come a little bit closer, because we're going to have a man on stage who I met at this event last year, and I've been following his work ever since. He was helped by shock, and he is now a motivational poet, as in you're a poet and you're motivational, and you're inspirational. So please welcome to this perfectly sized stage, the wonderful Chris Buckland!
My name's Chris Buckland and I am a recovering drug addict. I've spent a lot of my life, well, a good part of my life in prison, a good part of my life on the streets, homeless. I come from a normal family. I had a great mum and dad, I've got 2 brothers. I'm the middle child, probably counts for a lot, but I fell into mischievous behaviour, you know, as I was growing up, and I didn't realise the problems that was going to lead to further down the line. I didn't realise where my life was going to go. You know, everyone's saying, Chris, you shouldn't be doing this. It was just little being naughty. You know, as a kid, oh, he's just a boy, he's just a boy. No, there was more to it than that. There was something deep-seated inside me that just wasn't right. And I couldn't see where I was going wrong. And everything that I tried to do, I could never quite grasp. I could never finish it off or follow it through to the very end. And that carried on for some years. I started drinking a lot. I was smoking weed at school. I was drinking when I left school. I got in with some villains. I was used to like do debt collecting, fight, and just be a general presence around those people, as they liked having me around. I was used by them. I was manipulated to become part of what they had, and it all looked good to me. It was all shiny cars, you know, clubs and limos and cocaine and all that sort of stuff that comes with it. And we thought I was having a great time, but I didn't realise I was slowly destroying myself. I ended up going to prison for the first time when I was around 28. It was that long ago now. It feels that long ago. I don't really remember the day. For a conspiracy to defraud. I got 2 years. My first ever prison sentence. I got 2 years. And I was hauled up to Woodhill in Milton Keynes, an ACAT prison at the time. And, you know, I realised I couldn't carry on doing what I was doing. When I got out of prison, I spent my time, the Tottenham riots happened, I got shipped up to Stockton, I got out of Stockton. And I'd done some education. I got 2 A-levels when I was in prison. I was incredibly proud of them and still am. It's the only things that I've ever actually studied for, and I got them. But I managed to keep myself off the coke and the drink for a few months when I got out of prison. But something, again, it just wasn't right, you know. I didn't know what it was, and I spiraled back down into addiction, into cocaine use. And that ended up this time, I had quite a few knocks along the way. Daughter taken away, and it broke me. It was like knock after knock after knock. I ended up using more and more drink, more and more drugs, and then I started making crack cocaine, and that was sort of the final nail in the coffin for me. You know, I became a full-time daily user. I sold everything in my house. I was literally on Facebook Marketplace, selling the furniture, taking pictures of it, smoking crack, taking pictures of other stuff, selling it. People would come around, give me the money, I'd ring a dealer, and that went on for about, well, it seemed like a couple of weeks, probably a couple of days till I sold what little I had left. Obviously, I ended up homeless. When I became homeless, I didn't know what to do. I was wandering around. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know who to speak to. How can this happen to me? How can I become homeless? Me, you know? And I realised, you know, it can happen to anybody. Most people aren't that far away. You know, a couple of bad decisions, a job loss, anything like that, you can become homeless. And once you are, it's so hard to pull yourself out of that mindset, and out of the people that you end up inevitably hanging around with, because they become your friends because no one else wants to talk to you. You get pulled in, then you get offered heroin. Heroin became a thing for me very, very quickly. It took the pain away, the internal pain that I was feeling. It took away the cold nights. I didn't feel the rain. You know, I was lying under a scaffold once. I'll never forget this. I was lying under a scaffold, because I thought the scaffold would keep me wet, you know, like 8-inch wide boards with water dripping through the middle. The only thing I was worried about, that bag of drugs in my hand. I didn't care about anything else, so I knew that would put me back to sleep. Wake up in the morning, I go and steal meat and all sorts of stuff. You know, the people that I used to work for, these villain types, if you like, they didn't want anything to do with me anymore as a liability. You know, I literally was going around stealing steaks and bacon and sausages, and anything just to get hold of something. And I was homeless for quite a few months through that winter, and that was probably the hardest time of my life. A few years ago, I nearly had my leg amputated. I was in hospital for a couple of years. That was easier than being homeless. It's not fun. And a few things that I noticed, is once you're on the streets and you don't have anything, no one wants to give you anything. You get a cup of coffee, maybe a pack of crisps every now and again, but he's a druggie, stay away from him. He's homeless, stay away from him. How does that help anybody? That doesn't help anybody at all, The one thing that stood out for me, more than the cups of coffee, more than people that might give you some money from time, I never sat there and begged. I like to think that I earned my money by going and stealing it, but to each their own, I was that misguided in my head. I didn't know what was right and what was wrong. And the one thing that stood out for me was people every now and again would walk past and they'd smile, or they'd say hello, or sometimes they'd sit next to me. And I'm like, what do you want? I just want to talk to you. What do you want to talk about? Nothing in particular. They gave me their time. And over time now, especially now I can look back, I realise the biggest gift that you can give anybody is your time, because time is so precious. People coming up to me going, oh Chris, that guy just gave me 20 quid. I'm like, this guy sat with me for 2 minutes. That was more important to me. I did need my drugs because I was an addict. But someone's time, someone treating you as a person, a human, when you've been dehumanised, and that I could start to see like hope in these few people that were dotted about. People would give a little smile, a little gesture, and just even a nod. Someone walked past me and they just acknowledge you. Now, how many of us have done? We're all guilty of it. I am anyway. Walking past somebody and not noticing that person, that poor person sat in a doorway, and just walking past, just hello, how are you? Or a smile, or a nod. That's it. That can change someone's life. It really can. Just that small gesture can make the whole difference. That person will see everything that day from a different perspective. Maybe there are nice people out there after all. And it's charities like Shock that are working so hard to plug the gaps in the system that inevitably at the minute, unfortunately, is failing. Shock are coming in and they're doing outstanding work. I was up at the hub the other week. I just popped in and people are interacting with each other. The staff are absolutely fantastic. Now they've got a room in that place where people can have a sleep. It's like a sofa room. It's dark, it's quiet. People just pop in. If they've had a bad night on the streets, there's no such thing as a good night on the streets. I'm sorry, but they're in. People can go in there and they can have a kip. There's food, there's tea, there's warmth, there's shelter. But most of all, there's love. There's loads of love in that room. And you can see people when they walk through that door, their eyes change. The sparkle starts to come back, and that's what it's all about. That's what tonight is all about. It's about raising money to help those people that are stuck where I once was. Help them out of the life that's been created around them, or whether they've created it. It doesn't matter how they got there. They're there and they need our help. And it's our duty as people to go and help them. I truly believe that. It's up to us to go and help these people. So drink lots of drink, buy loads of food, play all the raffles and all the games that you can, and donate as much money as you can possibly afford into this fantastic charity. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll leave it there, and hopefully I'll see you all next year.
Big sleep out. Can we have a massive cheer and a round of applause for Chris Buckland, please?